Hey everyone, so welcome back to Filigree Racing. Now, this week's vlog, we're going to be we're going to be track prepping the car. Now, one thing that needs to happen is we need to actually change the oil, change the transmission fluid. I'm not going to go into it on this video just because, I mean, we've all seen it. I'm going to spare you guys the details. My last video, I kind of went and showed you guys how to do some things that are pretty basic, you know. People didn't really like it. So from here on, I'm going to kind of be skipping over a lot of that basic kind of stuff. I mean, if you've seen it once, you see it in one video. I'm not going to repeat it in the next videos. But so far, I don't believe that we've done a full track prep. Now, I'm not going to be bleeding the brakes. The brakes were just flushed just like last week. So again, I'm not going to do that. That's kind of redundant to do that. But things on the list that you're going to be watching the video for is going to be, I'm going to be probably pulling off my front bumper over on that side. I'll be fixing the quick latch that has failed on that side. I will then be removing the washer fluid bottle that is on that side. I will then be pulling the line out because I actually have it cut up on my A-pillar. I'm not sure if anyone noticed that before on previous videos. I didn't want to pull it out, I just cut it. But that's the washer line that goes all the way to the back for the wiper blade I haven't had since the car was like 2 weeks old. So I'm going to be getting rid of all of that. I mean, the washer fluid bottle, it's got the original fluid in it. And we've had this car for almost 3 years. I really don't use it. It's, you know, like it's like 2/3 full. So apparently I don't use it. Let's get that weight out of there. Another thing that we're going to be going through and we're going to be doing is both my back windows. The window switches have been pulled out of them, which is fine. I don't need to touch those. I have no back seat. Nobody needs to have the window down back there. So the window switches are pulled out, but what does that leave? That leaves the window motors. I do not need the window motors. You know, if the windows never go down, why do I need them? So I'm going to be pulling out those. That's a couple of pounds is all, which isn't really spectacular or anything like that. And then the next things that we're going to be doing is I've got some issues with heat in my brakes. So to help kind of cool that, I'm going to be unbolting the hubs front and rear, and we're going to be pulling those dust shields off. And then once we pull those dust shields off, I'm going to junk them. I mean, that's not anything significant for weight, but I'm not going to be coming back home between now and the track event. I leave tomorrow. I'm going to be pulling into the event at like 2 o'clock in the morning. We are going to be running from basically 7 a.m. to around 6 p.m. And then as soon as I'm done with that last session, I'm not even going to stop in the pits. I'm just going to roll straight out and head to work because I just don't have the time. So with that being said, that means I need to take the street tires off. I run, you know, Continental DWS 06. They're just a high performance all season on the street. You know, we test and tune on the tires. They do fine in rain, they do fine in water, blah, 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 blah. There's nothing wrong with them. But I will be bolting on our track tires. I will be running down there with those. They do still have some of the water treading in them, so I'm still hoping it doesn't rain, I guess. Hopefully it doesn't snow. That's what we really want, right? No snow. But that kind of breaks down. I need to put the skid plate on. And then I actually have a code for my gas evaporator. For some reason it's reading pressures too high. When we were bolting in the harnesses, one of the anchors for the harnesses went right next to the evap hose. So I'm going to go through them. I'm going to kind of make sure that that's not, you know, kinking that hose or anything weird like that. I mean, that's kind of my first guess of what's going on there. Beyond that, I don't know why it would be too high. So, I mean, if you personally know, shoot it in the comments. Let me know would possibly cause it to be too high. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get into all that. So I'll be stopping the video here and there when I start moving to a new project. But for the first thing first, I'm gonna go ahead and get going on some of the more basic stuff. So let's get into it. Okay, so one thing that some of you guys might have noticed is that I'm still running the factory knob. So we went ahead, we picked up a Sparco knob. Now this is actually their silver one that I went through. I got it redone in powder coat for white. And we screw on the bottom. Some people might recognize this as this was what some people called my light bulb. So I'm gonna go ahead, put this on so that we can get rid of the factory knob. Okay, so rear window motors, pretty basic. All right, so that takes out one. Same thing on the other side, so let's do it. All right, with those out of the way, so that these wires aren't kind of flopping around all over the place, I'm gonna actually zip tie them to the main line. So this front one, I went ahead, I zip tied it up earlier to kind of just be temporary. I'm not really fond of the way that it sits, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm going to redo it, and I'm gonna run it right along this line down here. here we are. Now, hopefully you can see this. This right here is actually the dust cover. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to remove that without removing the brake caliper. If I can, then great. If I can't, then I'll remove the brake caliper and all that stuff. But hopefully, there's 4 bolts on the back side of here. I'm hoping that by undoing those 4, then I can slide the dust shield out. That'll get rid of it. With it out, we should increase our brake cooling. Now, I'll go ahead, I'll do the same for the rear. It's pretty much the same process, you know, remove bolts. Hopefully it slides out. If it doesn't, then we'll figure it out. But I'm gonna go ahead, jump into this. So. Okay, so that's gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Now, I did get most everything done. I decided that I'm not gonna change the oil, I'm not gonna change the transmission fluid, just because, I mean, AMSOIL recommended 4,000 miles. I'm actually like barely over, I believe it's like 2,000 miles. So we're still pretty lenient on it. I'm gonna go ahead. We're only going to 1-day event. It should be more than okay. We should still have, 1,000+ miles on the oil change after that. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna wrap this up. Now, I did go ahead, I scaled the weight loss that we seen. We ended up losing a total of about 12 pounds, which it's not the greatest weight, but considering, all we did was we removed some shields, we removed the washer fluid reservoir and all of the washer lines. That's really not a bad thing. Now, I will say that the washer fluid bottle was actually, it wasn't empty, it was 2/3 full. I did scale it 2/3 full, so I did not empty it out or anything like that. But that's gonna go ahead, that's gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna see you on the next video, which will be on track. So have a good one and see you on the next one.